See, this is what he does. He robs, kills.
Asia's most notorious killer.
Imagine a man who travels the world, hiding in plain sight, charming people with his smile, only to turn around and unleash a nightmare. He starts off small, just a thief looking for easy money, but soon his taste for crime evolves into something far more sinister. This is the story of a man we'll call Murdery, and his path is paved with deception, betrayal, and chilling acts that defy belief. But how does a petty thief transform into a cold-blooded serial killer, leaving a trail of bodies across multiple countries? Let's find out. It all began innocently enough, with Murdery pulling off small-time heists, breaking into cars, swiping wallets, just enough to get by. But his ambitions grow darker when he flies to Thailand with his girlfriend, under the guise of a tourist. There, he hatches a twisted plan, targeting unsuspecting Western backpackers. His method is both cunning and cruel. He befriends them, gains their trust, then slips sedatives into their food and drinks, leaving them helpless as he robs them of their money and passports. But soon, robbing these strangers is not enough to satisfy his dark desires. One evening, Murdery crosses paths with an American backpacker. He plays the role of a friendly traveler, but beneath his friendly exterior, a sinister plot is already in motion. After drugging her, he decides that theft isn't enough this time. Instead, he drags her to the ocean and holds her under the water until she drowns, watching as the waves claim her last breath. And just when you think this story couldn't get any darker, it does. Soon after, Murdery targets another tourist, only this time, he escalates his cruelty. He not only murders the victim, but also burns the body, leaving it on the side of the road like a twisted message. But his crime spree doesn't end there. When the girlfriend of his latest victim starts asking too many questions, Murdery decides she has to go too. He drugs her and drowns her, eliminating yet another obstacle standing in his way. Living off the riches he's stolen from these unsuspecting travelers, Murdery knows he must keep moving, keep running, to stay ahead of the law. His next stop? He invites a Dutch couple he met in Hong Kong to visit him in Thailand. When they arrive, he repeats his deadly routine, drugs, strangles, and burns them alive. Cold and calculated, he then takes their passports and uses them to flee the country with his girlfriend, heading straight to Nepal. But Nepal is just another playground for Murdery's twisted games. He befriends a Canadian man and an American woman, lures them into his trap, then brutally stabs and burns them, reducing them to nothing more than ashes. The audacity of his crimes knows no bounds, and yet, despite the horror he leaves in his wake, he always manages to slip away. He's like a ghost, disappearing before anyone can catch on to his monstrous deeds. But as the saying goes, even the most cunning fox can't hide forever. One day, Murdery finds himself back in India with a wild idea: to rob an entire group of 60 French engineering students at once. He drugs their water bottles, intending to knock them all out and steal from them. But this time, his plan goes awry. The drugs act too quickly, and as the first students begin to collapse, the others realize what's happening. They manage to overpower him and call the police, finally putting an end to his crime spree. Murdery is sentenced to 12 years in prison, yet even behind bars, he can't seem to stop scheming. Facing extradition to Thailand for his earlier murders, where he knows he'd likely face the death penalty, he devises another escape. He drugs the prison guards with sedative-laced candy, and while they're passed out, he walks right out of the prison, only to let himself be recaptured later. This clever move buys him more time in India, ensuring that when he finally leaves, the statute of limitations on his crimes in Thailand will have expired. Years pass, and he serves his full sentence. By the time he's released, he's seemingly a free man, almost untouchable, until he makes a fatal error. He decides to take a vacation to Nepal. Unbeknownst to him, the ghosts of his past still haunt that place, and Nepal has no statute of limitations on murder. It doesn't take long before authorities catch up to him, arrest him, and sentence him to 20 years in prison for the brutal murders he committed decades ago. 19 years later, Murdery is released, but not as a forgotten criminal. He's a wealthy man, having sold the rights to his life story for a staggering $15 million. Now, he's out in the world, living his life, a man who turned his dark deeds into profit. The question is, will justice ever truly catch up to him? Or will he forever remain one step ahead? The story of Murdery is far from over, and who knows what this master manipulator has planned next. One thing's for sure, wherever he goes, darkness follows.